That's the kind of client I represented. It was an absolute honor to do that. I ended up writing a book with Lee Benson about it. Tom Brokaw wrote a blurb for it. We ended up doing a documentary. I speak all over the country to the young people about what happened. One message I want to deliver today is the men and women in uniform who represent us, past and present, cannot and must not be forgotten. As I've given this talk in different forums, in different places, I invariably have a parent come up to me and say when my son was deployed to Iraq, he did not receive the proper boots, and we as a family had to purchase those boots. I've had a mother tell me that when her son returned from Afghanistan on a troop transport, he had to pay his own way to come home. I was giving a talk at Coachella Valley High School down in the desert in California, and I was meeting with the principal, Mr. Arredondo. And I was explaining to him why I wanted to come to his high school and why I wanted to talk about the Bataan Death March and why I wanted to talk about. And he stopped me and he said, Mr. Parkinson, I've had 2 sons serve in Iraq. I understand. I kept talking, and he stopped me again and he said, Mr. Parkinson, one of my sons was in a Humvee that hit IED and blew off both of his legs and part of his arm, and today he's at the Intrepid, ministering to other soldiers who have lost a body part. I know why you are here talking. And then I found out that we did not have proper armor on that Humvee that Mr. Arredondo's son was in. And I say to you, as American citizens, we will not tolerate that, not now, not in the future. We have a responsibility as citizens to tell our leaders, if you start and you say we're going to go to war, then we're going to go to war with everything we've got, and we want our sons and we want our daughters to come home, and we want them to walk off that plane. Democrat, Republican, Tea Party, no party. When an American soldier walks off a plane anywhere in the world, you and I walk up to them and we say thank you. I was in the airport in Baltimore several years ago. I was on my way to the Gambia. I'd been invited by the president of an African country to visit. I was there at midnight, and I was wandering around looking for something to eat, and I went through the metal detector. In front of me was an American soldier. I don't know how many pockets he had, but he had 28, I think. And he emptied all his pockets, and I just stood there because I had a lot of time to kill. And when he finished, I noticed that the last thing he put in that bin to go to the metal detector was a passport from Honduras. He went through, I went through, I went to one section, he went to another, then I watched him work his cell phone. After 15 minutes, I walked up to him, and I said, I couldn't help but notice. He said, yes, sir. I said, I just want to visit. I said, I happen to notice that you're in uniform. I said, where are you going? I think he said Fort Benning, Georgia, or someplace. I can't remember exactly where. I said, when are you being deployed to Iraq, sir? He said, April, sir. This was January 1st. I said, I noticed you had a passport from Honduras. Are you an American citizen? No, sir. And then he straightened up. He got a look in his eye, and he said to me, in July, God willing, I will be an American citizen. That's who we are. That's who you are. war broke out. Harold Poole was about your age. I asked him about what happened when he first heard a bomb over Clark Field in the Philippines. And he said he walked out the Quonset hut just after having lunch, and he counted 51 bombers overhead. They were dropping bombs, he said, on me. He said it took me a minute to gather my thoughts, and then I noticed that the petroleum storage unit blew up and flames were engulfing the area. Then the bombers disappeared and the pursuit planes dropped out of the sky and they started to strafe the field. And Harold could see the geysers of dirt kicking up around him, so he jumped into a foxhole next to him. And on a pole was an air-cooled Lewis machine gun. Harold had never fired one before, although he was an armaments man. He took the machine gun off the pole and he got ready because there was a pursuit plane dropping out of the sky coming right at him. And as it closed on him, he took dead aim. He said, I never fired one before, but I was a duck hunter back home. Figured you just did it the same way, you just let it a little bit. He said, when it was over my head, I pulled the trigger. And the gun jammed. Lucky for Harold and for all of us, that pilot missed it and took off and disappeared in the distance. Harold had this common sense and the wherewithal to field strip that gun. And he got ready again. And then another plane dropped out of the sky, a Japanese Zero. And this time it was 75 feet over his head. To quote Harold, I pulled the trigger, and this time she sang beautifully. That, according to history, was the first Japanese plane shot down in the Battle of the Philippines. It was done by Harold Poole at 45 years